Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Mile High Podcast Quick Hits. I am your host, Dave, and with me from the Potter Girls podcast is my home slash cousin slash bestie, Christy Potter. How the hell are you?
Oh shit, I'm a bestie now? That's awesome. Thanks.
You and James, Darius, and Oscar, my dog, Cheeto, my cat, we're all friends. We're all friends here.
I'm doing good, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome back to the Quick Hits, Mile High Podcast Quick Hits. Um, I want to say that our Quick Hits are very popular amongst the on the Spotify's and the SoundClouds. Are what's weird is like we've only done like 2 or 3 Quick Hits together, and we have more listens to our Quick Hits than we do on the regular Mile High podcast, which is kind of weird, but it's kind of cool in a way that me and my cuz, we got a popular show going here. So yeah, Christy and I are gonna be together for quite a few of these Quick Hits coming up. So she's like the Quick Hits lady. So
I think my husband Mike might take offense or be pretty excited about me being the quick hits lady. So I don't know how to take that. But I'm honored to be on the podcast, Dave.
there you go. Yeah, be honored. This is look. You've been wanting to have a voice for a long time, and this is your way to use your voice and say bad words on the interwebs and live in YouTube infamy for the rest of your life. We have given you that
Yeah.
voice.
Excellent.
Well, we are here. So originally, when I came up with the Quick Hits, it was like we take the first part of the Mile High podcast and we talk about like what do we talk about, and we talk about like what are you watching, and that's pretty much it. But the last few Quick Hits have been longer than our normal Mile High podcast episodes. And tonight we're talking about one episode or one show only, but it's one of those shows that you can literally talk about for hours. I was listening to a 2.5-hour Kevin Smith podcast all about this very same show, so we could very well run into like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I blocked off 3 hours of Zoom time for this specific episode, so we're gonna try to keep it short. But who knows, man? This is one hell of a topic to talk about.
Yeah, the rabbit holes and Easter eggs are just incredible. If you really wanted to get into it, we could. I don't know that I have the brain capacity to keep up with all of it, though. So I'm just warning you.
Well, I have full faith in you. And speaking of brain capacity, I know Christy's not a smoker, but we are the Mile High podcast after all. So I got to throw some love. Recently, we started taking up dabs, like waxes and shit from the local shops around us, and we're like, I got this really neat vape pen, and right here over at Mixed Up Creations right down the street. It's like $40. You throw your wax in there, and I have some awesome shit from Lightshade called Super Blue Tie. Not very creative on the name, doesn't tell you anything about what the wax is, but it hits hard and it's very delightful. And so speaking of brain capacity, I'll be smoking that. So Christy, before long, you'll be much higher in your, so to speak, with your brain capacity. So quick shout out to Lightshade. But tonight we're talking WandaVision. It is a cultural phenomenon, to say the very least. It is a show that has gripped the nation by the nutsack because nobody knows what's going on. And it's very painful that it comes out only once a week. Like, I thought we got rid of this. I thought we moved into the 21st century with this binging stuff, but no, Disney wants you to take it on once a week, and that week is full of speculation and recap, and that's kind of what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about everything WandaVision, everything about it. We have some theories. We're gonna talk about if we like it or not. We're gonna talk about what kind of implications there are for the MCU. So if please go on to Mile High Podcast or the Potter Girls podcast and start commenting. Give us your theories. There's gonna be tons of spoilers. So like if you haven't seen WandaVision at all, I don't know why you're listening to the show in the first place. It's not like I have a lot to say. It's literally WandaVision. So if you haven't seen the show, you might not want to watch it. But unless you're my parents are in the chat room. They say hi. They have not seen WandaVision, but there are like main sponsors here at the Mile High Podcast. So they're observing and quality controlling their product, their investment here. Also want to give out some love to Rob Robert, who was on the Santori project with Santori show with me on Wednesday. So hello to Rob Robert and Amanda Chip. Oh my God. We have a full house, Christy. We have Amanda, we got Betsy, we got Rob Roberts. I mean, we have at least 8 people watching us right now. It's amazing.
Well, see, I have a list of different people because I'm on the Potter Girls.
Oh yeah, you got
live.
A different crew over there.
Yeah, I got my peeps. Show some love for Mike's friend Desiree from high school. Ended up being my new Facebook best friend, and she's super excited for this episode. So she's here. Lanita's here. Got Kathy here. Yeah, we're ready to party, dude.
Yeah, so please, we want you guys to comment in the chat. I'm monitoring the Mile High Podcast one. Christy is monitoring the Potter Girls. So if you're commenting on like the Santori show, I'm not gonna go all the way there. That's a lot too much work. So go to the Mile High Podcast, go to the Potter Girls. We will most likely see your comment. So do that. But as is tradition here at the Mile High Podcast, we always start off with what have you been up to, Christy? What have you been up to?
Okay, so I know I always say I watch TikTok and it's not usually that exciting, but do you keep up on like the Buffy drama, like the new accusations against Joss Whedon that just came out from Charisma Carpenter? Are you keeping track of any of that?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so that's a whole new world that I've been sucked into. There's been rumors about Joss Whedon for a while. Charisma Carpenter, she played Cordelia on the show, which just came out with some accusations. So everybody from the cast is speaking out. There's people even like from Justice League, the new Justice League, I think is what he's
the kid that played
right?
Cyborg.
Yeah. So that's coming out. That's been a whole new drama. So, but like I say, I'm watching TikTok, but really it's like a storyline, and there's
like a soap opera.
It is. So there's been a lot of that politics, with the whole impeachment trial happening. So there's been some of that I've been watching. And then because Marvel's my comfort food, the boys and I went back and we watched Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man Homecoming.
So great. And if it hadn't been for Into the Multiverse, those two would have been the 2 best Spider-Man movies ever made. But then, of course, there is Into the Spider-Verse, and unfortunately, I guess, that is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. And what do you think of multiverse? Because this is actually going to come up. This is actually relevant to our conversation later, the multiverse. So what do you think?
It's my biggest theory that I'm most excited about is the introduction of the multiverse. But I had only seen bits and pieces of Spider-Man Into the Multiverse because my 4-year-old was obsessed with it. So I just saw bits and pieces. And I finally, this summer, sat down and watched it from beginning to end. It was like,
so good.
Holy shit.
So good.
It's really good.
What a great introduction for Miles Morales. So I love Spider-Man. My parents, they're in the chat right now. They will attest to this. Spider-Man was my superhero growing up. I love Spider-Man. I have all sorts of Spider-Man shit in my house. I love Spider-Man. My Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Dante, my son, my 13-year-old, his Spider-Man is Miles Morales. That is his Spider-Man. And so when we got the multiverse together, you had my Spider-Man, the Peter Parker, even schlubby Peter Parker, and you had Miles Morales together. So it was amazing. And the best thing is that Spider-Man Into the Multiverse 2 is coming straight to Netflix. It's getting released straight to Netflix. So I'm very excited about that.
When's that coming?
It's coming this summer. I'm very excited. I'm very excited about that. So what else have you been up to? Didn't you like start something on Truckee Pacific?
Oh, okay. You're talking about my new podcast with my sister Bobby. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, it was either that or Santori What Now, but I was more referring to you.
Well, yeah, I can't speak much to Santori, but I can say that Bobby and I had a relatively successful first episode of our podcast last week. We're prepping for our next episode next week. So
I did a great job hosting. Well, we decided to like take off for a little bit. Luckily, I was there, so I was able to rescue your show.
It was nice. I got to rewatch it and see you step in and really just step into the girls.
I was really hilarious. If I do say so myself, I was very funny. You're welcome.
How about you, Dave? What have you been up to?
Oh my God! Thanks for asking, Christy. It's almost as if you had an outline in front of you and you knew what to ask.
I should pull that up. Go ahead.
You should. Well, what I've been up to is this week, my book Caldera about a doomsday novel set in modern day America. And it explains what happens if the Yellowstone caldera explodes. Billions of people will die, and one man and his son fight for survival as the Yellowstone supervolcano erupts, throwing the world into chaos. Available now on Amazon in paperback and ebook, and I have listened to the first 4 chapters of the audiobook, and it's fantastic. So, Caldera, available now. Ebooks available on Amazon and available on barnesandnoble.com and in paperback on Amazon. I don't know why. I guess Amazon just wants my paperback more than Barnes and Noble does. I don't care. I'm just excited that I have this book out. I've been working on this motherfucker for a really long time. So I'm very excited, and it's a great book. So, go check that out.
I can't wait to read it, Dave.
Well, I hope you do.
You
know what? You get a free copy. I borrowed so a couple years ago, I know this is getting way off topic, but a couple years ago, I had a party when I released another one of my books. And at that party, everybody chipped in so I can go up to Yellowstone and have a research trip for this book. So Christy and Bobby were both there. Their picture is actually in the back of Caldera. And everybody who was there gets a signed autographed copy of Caldera. So I've already ordered your book and it'll be to you. Everybody who helped support me, I gave you the dedication to the book, and then you guys have a picture in the back. So thank you guys so much. This is a really good chance. Like, I have like a bunch of the people who watch the podcast have supported the book. So thank you to everybody who did that. So, all right, I think Christy froze a little bit. Christy, don't go. All right. So
no, I'm not on crappy.
There you are. Oh, you're back. Okay. All right, so that's my plug. That's what I've been up to. I've been dealing with that, and that's been very exciting. I finished another book that my dad's reading right now, and I'm writing another one, and I'm doing the Mile High podcast stuff. So very busy, and I work at Starbucks. Man, I wish, I could use your money, guys. I'm working a lot. I'd rather just do the podcast thing and do the writing thing, and not have to work at Starbucks. So if you go to Truckee Pacific 303 on Venmo, I would like you to make your money my money, and I'll make this pitch again at the end. So just in case you forget, we got way off topic.
Good.
So another, usually tradition dictates here on my High podcast after we talk about what we're up to, we're talking about what we're watching. So Christy, besides TikTok and the impeachment, what are you watching?
WandaVision. I am so there. I just, I browsed the other night. I tried to look for something interesting. Nothing sounded interesting. I don't know if it's because I have Marvel brain or I couldn't find anything to watch. Nothing.
Well, that's good, because I always take up the most time in the segment because I watch more than anybody else. And this week will be no exception. So I watched 2 great movies this week. The first one was Mank, about the writer of Citizen Kane, starring Gary Oldman. It's about the writing of Citizen Kane, but it's shot as if it's a movie from the 1940s, and it's exceptional. It's fantastic. And my boy Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails and Atticus Ross got nominated for a Golden Globe for the music. I mean, brilliant. It's an absolutely brilliant movie. Gary Oldman is fantastic, and just like the way that they made this movie in 2021 look and feel as if it was shot when they were doing Citizen Kane. Great movie. So I highly recommend that. And the movie I have most wanted to watch in the last 3 months is this movie called Freaky. Have you heard anything about Freaky, Christy?
No, I have not, Dave.
All right. So there's a series of movies by Blumhouse that takes these popular movies from like the 80s, and then they put a horror spin on it. The guy who directed Freaky directed a movie called Happy Death Day, which was a serial killer version of Groundhog Day. And it was great. It was like surprisingly good. It sounds stupid, and I am like the harshest horror critic there is. But I decided to watch it because people were giving it like a lot of love, and I watched it, and it was actually really good. And so another movie came out, Freaky, which is Vince Vaughn is a Mike Myers type slasher killer, and he like picks up this Mayan artifact, and he goes to kill this girl, but their consciousness swap like in Freaky Friday.
Hmm.
And so this girl that he's trying to kill, all of a sudden his consciousness goes into her, and she turns into the slasher serial killer, and the girl goes
Ah,
into Vince Vaughn, and she has to try to stop him. And it's really good. I waited for this movie for months to come out, and it lived up to it. It was so good. So if you want a good, fun slasher movie, I would definitely recommend Freaky.
okay, once you got almost done with your description, I remembered seeing probably a preview for that. And I tend to avoid horror, but I can do a slasher. I can't do like the really creepy stuff, but I can do a slasher flick. So maybe I'll throw it on the TV.
Yeah, and Amanda commented she says she can't wait to watch that one yet. It's finally available on Amazon. You have to throw down like $6, but it was totally worth it. So definitely recommend Freaky. So that's what we're watching. I watched so many things. Tonight I'm watching Judas and the Black Messiah. I watched The Little Things. I mean, I have like 2 days off, and that's like the only day I can stay up late, and that's where I watch all my slasher movies and my serial killer like documentaries and shit. So I watch a lot of stuff.
How do you have time for all of this? Is it the
Man, I have to stay up late. I get up early. I sleep like 4 hours a night. I shit you not. So this is my routine. I like go to bed at like 8 o'clock. I usually wake up about 1 or 2, and then I just do stuff until I have to go to work. And I'm usually at work at 4:30, off at 1, come home, just jump into my office, start writing, editing, putting shows together. On the weekends, I put the shows that we record, we put them together, put them on YouTube, and put them up on SoundCloud and stuff. But what's funny is like the stuff, like the podcast and the writing stuff, that's not work, dude. That's me coming out, smoking a joint or something, writing. I get to play make believe. I get to hang out with my cousin and talk about WandaVision. I mean, this isn't work. This is the real fun stuff. So I have to work, those shitty hours in the morning in order to be able to do this kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when you gave me the outline, you specifically said I had homework. So I'm going to put an asterisk next to that. That it's mostly fun, but you did in fact assign homework.
I did assign homework. Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. Like I take this. What's funny is like, when James and I announced that we were doing this podcast, man, this is how Mile High Podcast goes, Christy. Like it goes off on these weird tangents. But when James and I started this, a lot of folks looked at us. They're like, that's pretty funny. Like they're just kind of, stoners doing the podcast. But like, we're legit serious about this. I mean, we have shows that we're building. We have like 8 different shows that are on our network. We have like 3 different shows that have nothing to do with James or I. I mean, we built a pretty cool thing. We built a real good audience. So we're very serious about this. So when I say assign homework, man, I'm deadly serious. If you come on this podcast, and Amanda Chip will know, she's on our show in a couple weeks. She knows I will assign her homework. I will expect her to do her homework. That's the price you pay for being with me.
Good luck, Amanda.
We're talking concerts. So she's going to enjoy that one. All right. Let's try to find some way to get back onto this highway because we've gone off. We've gone off track. All right. So, anything else have you watched? Have you watched anything like what kind of TikTok videos are sticking out besides your political ones or besides the Joss Whedon ones? Have you seen the cat lawyer guy?
Yes. I'm not a cat is exactly what a cat pretending to be a lawyer would say.
Yeah, pretty suspicious, right?
Pretty suspicious. I get a lot of little stuff. I get like not just like the news political stuff, but I get like people like basically making fun of the other side, which I've started skipping those because I'm like, we don't need that anymore. But sometimes you see some really smart people say some really smart things. I'm like, oh, that's a good valid point. And then the next one is a thirst trap with the guy not wearing a shirt. And then the next one is a cat doing something funny. So like, TikTok's a little bit of everything. I enjoy it.
That's funny. All right. So we're trying our best to get back on track here. So we're going to the meat of our show. Christy, WandaVision. why don't you give me a little bit of a series recap, and I'll fill in the blanks. I said I was going to do the summary, but I'm changing it up on you. I'm going to let you do it.
Fun. Thank you. Do you want me to go like episode by episode or like a broad
Just give a general
general?
synopsis of what the show is for all of our listeners who haven't seen it, who are watching this episode for some reason.
Okay. Well, what it is the characters Wanda Maximoff, who's known as the Scarlet Witch, and the Vision are kind of the main characters of the show. There's a lot of unanswered questions, but basically Wanda has created what we see as a TV show. In the first 2 episodes, I think, we don't even know that there's an outside world, so everybody's really confused. And it's her, they were these crazy superheroes with this crazy backstory. Like Vision's not even like a real person. He's a zombie robot thing. But she's creating like these shows where like they're married and then they have kids, and you're wondering, you watch the first show, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Because the last time you saw these guys was Avengers Endgame, where they saved the world from Thanos. Well, not the Vision, because spoiler alert, the Vision died back in Infinity War.
He has Mind Stone ripped out
by Thanos. And then Wanda Maximoff is clearly the strongest Avenger because she almost beat Thanos in Endgame. So the events now are taking place after Endgame, and Sword is the new government agency that you don't know if they're good or bad because this is the Marvel universe, and they have discovered Wanda's little experiment and they're trying to see what's happening. They don't know if these people are in danger. They don't know if Wanda's the one controlling it or if someone else is controlling it. You don't know any of this either, and that's the fun part. And then, I don't want to go too much into like all the fun little stuff along the way, but I'd say that's a fairly big idea of what happens. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great mystery show because you really, I think the writers and the creators, overseen by Kevin Feige, of course, they've done a great job of keeping you guessing. Like, there are so many rumors. We're going to spend a good portion of this section talking about rumors and what we think, but they do a really great job of withholding key pieces of information that's going to help you solve it. But they're putting little things in here left and right. They're setting up so much more than just the rest of this episode. They are literally setting up their whole next phase of Marvel movies based off of this show. And they're doing it in such a clever way. And as much as I hate them doing the 1 episode a week, I think if we got to binge all at once, I don't think it would be as enjoyable, and it definitely wouldn't have the buzz it does, because like I said, people are talking about this show from the moment that they watch it to the next week. They are talking about it. Like I said, Kevin Smith threw up a 2.5-hour podcast talking about it. We're going to go into a good over an hour for talking about it. There's just so much there to talk about. And that's because, 1, we have to speculate what's coming up. And 2, we're trying to piece together all the clues to kind of form a picture here.
Absolutely. And, I think I've decided that is the fun part. It's not just entertainment to watch. You get involved. Even my mom, she's catching up on all the Marvel movies now. She's even kind of starting to speculate, like, what about this and that? And like starting to piece together. I call it Marvel brain. She's getting Marvel brain. And it is fun because it's not just something you sit and watch. Like, you are involved. You're trying to figure out theories. You're picking out those Easter eggs. You're trying to imagine what could possibly happen, not just in the next episode, but like you said, in the next 5 years of the Marvel universe. You can learn something new in 10 minutes of the show that you didn't know that takes a week to dissect. And it is fun. It's a whole new culture. It's not just the show.
Absolutely. What did you think, though, after that first episode? What was your impression of that first episode?
I was a little bummed. Like, especially the first half of the episode, it's black and white. They're being cheeky. You find out they're married. They're in a little house kind of doing a Donna Reed show. And you're like, you keep waiting for something creepy to happen or something crazy to happen. Like, it doesn't happen. Nothing happens. And you're just waiting, and you're on the edge of your seat, like, please give me something. What is going on? In fact, everybody was so fixated on the date on the calendar for weeks. And
yeah.
nobody talks about it anymore. Like, that's how quickly this moves on. That was the biggest topic after the first episode, and I haven't seen anybody bring it up ever again. But then there was like that one little creepy part of the table where the guy started choking and it got a little creepy, and like that was it.
Stop it.
The rest of the episode was
Stop
like,
it.
but
Stop it.
so yeah, the first episode was like, okay, what's going on here? What's happening? How about you?
Yeah, no, I was right there with you. I was more impressed with it than I was like bummed out, but it definitely started off very slow. And if it was anything other than a Marvel or like a Star Warsy kind of show, and if I wouldn't watch beyond that first episode, but because I knew that the rumors are that it's a very important show, and I just had faith in the MCU. I mean, they've earned my faith, and so like I knew that it was gonna pick up, and boy, has it! I mean, I would say like last episode was the best episode, and then I just watched the episode 6 tonight. Now that's the best episode. So like they keep one upping each other. We won't spoil this episode, but if you after you're done with this, go and watch that episode 6 because it's a great episode for sure.
I don't get to talk about episode 6.
Oh, okay. All right. I lied. I changed my mind. We're talking episode 6. So if you've only watched up to episode 5, now is your time to bust out of here because we're talking episode 6. Before we do that, give me, what are your criticisms
of the show or the first episode
of the show?
Criticisms? No. I mean, we're still trying to figure it out, so I can't say it's the best thing ever. I mean, it's certainly lacking a certain Chris Evans element, but no, I can't criticize anything. I can't criticize it. I'm not that person. I'm way too optimistic with these things. I can't tell you anything negative. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I what's funny is like I put this in our outline, like any criticisms? I'm like, I don't have any, but maybe you did. Huh?
Maybe when it's
no criticism.
done.
I think my biggest criticism is also something that makes the show better. It's we can't binge it, but ultimately in the end it makes it a better show that way. I just want to watch the whole goddamn thing over again. And as soon as the last show airs, I'm gonna go right back and just start it over, and I'm gonna binge it. I'm gonna try to find all those clues that I missed.
I agree. Yeah, when it's all done, I might be able to criticize it because like everybody that like me included, that Game of Thrones is fantastic, and then fucking the last season happened, and now everybody hates the show. So we got to finish all the episodes before we can really say there's criticisms.
For sure, I get that. All right, so give me some of your popular theories right now. I mean, this show is ripe with theories. Like, where do you think it's going? Tell me just something. I know you've been watching a bunch of stuff on the internet about it, so tell me what you think.
Well, let's start big. It seems everybody's in agreement that Wanda may have already, if not will, be the creator of mutants in this world.
Yeah, it's pretty well known out there that this show kind of follows the House of M, and the lady who plays Agnes is very similar to a witch in the House of M who kind of controls everything. And to talk about episode 6, Wanda says, I don't know how I started this. Like she's kind of figuring this out. Like, what am I doing? And she says, like, I don't know how this thing was built. So that kind of lends itself to having somebody else with her, aiding her. And Agnes is someone who kind of crosses over to this House of M book. But in that book, Scarlet Witch destroys all mutants, but Marvel puts their own spin on things. And so this is, I think this is how you introduce that greater Marvel world. You introduce the mutants. I think they've already referenced Mr. Fantastic in last episode. Did you catch that?
Oh, so well, most people are thinking that aerospace engineer that I know a guy. Most people are assuming it's Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, I'm fairly certain that it's Mr. Fantastic.
Isn't it too soon to introduce the Fantastic Four?
No, they have Kevin Feige's already announced their movie. It's going to be in a couple years, but he's already announced their movie. So this is a way to, like I said, when this show is laying the groundwork for the rest of, or for phase 4 and the beyond, this is like their way of saying, oh, we referenced Mr. Fantastic in this episode. But I think, so Lizzie Olsen came out this week and said that there is a Luke Skywalker at the end of the Mandalorian type of cameo. And that got my imagination going. So you've heard that too. So what do you think? Who is this Luke Skywalker sized cameo at the end of the season?
Oh, see, now you're putting me on the spot.
Putting you on the spot. You have an outline in front of you. Okay, you knew it was coming.
I know, but I focused so much on my homework and all these crazy theories. I got distracted and forgot about the part. So I'm gonna say no. I don't think it's Mr. Fantastic that's going to be the big surprise at the end. Only because she specifically said it's going to be like a Mandalorian Luke Skywalker reference.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that it's Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, okay,
but I'm saying just in general. Who do you think it is in general? Who do you think is going to be that cameo?
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I've got too many thoughts in my head. I need to focus for a second.
My theory. It's going to be Magneto. It's going to be Ian McKellen Magneto. Wouldn't that be great? Because
Magneto
in the books,
is her father.
Yeah, in the books, Magneto is her father. And what better way to, one, introduce a new bad guy into the MCU, but also when you introduce Magneto, you introduce mutants.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And that. Okay.
Or it could be Doctor Strange as well. Wanda is considered or rumored to be the big bad in the next Doctor Strange movie, so it would be pretty likely that Cumberbatch would come back as Doctor Strange at the end of this, because we have to figure out the multiverse. We're opening up the multiverse. This is opening it up. The Doctor Strange movie, which comes out pretty soon after WandaVision, called the Multiverse of Madness. So you have to bring in the multiverse.
Wait, focus on mutants. We'll talk about multiverse in a minute. That's the other big one.
Well, you're pulling in the mutants from the multiverse.
But okay, so Desiree thinks that it might be Clint, and that's how they're going to tie the two series with Black Widow together.
Could very well, but you wonder, is he going to come in to try to kill her or what? Well, or it could be Robert Downey Jr. He said that he's officially not done with Disney and Marvel. And he was the creator of Vision.
He's dead.
Obviously you don't know comic books that well. If you think somebody being dead will stop them from being in a comic book, you don't know comic books very well. And he's fucking Tony Stark. He lived in Spider-Man sunglasses.
Okay, so she expanded on her theory, and now I'm kind of liking it because I hadn't heard this yet. So she thinks that Clint, who's also Hawkeye, is going to help Vision get Wanda under control, and that fits actually pretty well with Hawkeye and Wanda's relationship in the Marvel movies.
All right. I think it's gonna be bigger than that. I think it's gonna be a Magneto. It's gonna be Captain Marvel. It's gonna be a Robert Downey Jr. Because Vision's dead too. If the Vision could be dead in this hex, then so can Iron Man. Why not?
Well, because restarting a body made of vibranium is different than one made of flesh. Because I think that's why, one of the reasons, other than the multiverse, I think that's why her brother is Peter is Quicksilver from the X-Men movies and not her brother from the Marvel movies, because she couldn't bring back his body. It's gone. It's dead. He's gone. So she pulled from the multiverse to bring in her brother from a different multiverse.
I like that.
So no, I don't think she can reanimate the dead. The Vision's a different thing. So no, I'm going to have to say Iron Man's a no-go. But I'll give you Magneto's a good one.
Yeah, when you open up the multiverse, you can pretty much bring in whoever you want. So, it's endless now. Like, the opportunities are endless. I can't even remember what I was trying to say. Like, the options are endless. You can pretty much bring in anybody. But when you talk about the Scarlet Witch's storyline, you're talking about Magneto as her dad. You're talking about Captain America, who's her friend. You're talking about Hawkeye, who is a friend. You're talking about um, Tony Stark, who owns Vision. So maybe he comes back as his AI because, like I said, he was in Spider-Man's sunglasses. He was there with him, so his consciousness could live on um, in, in the Marvel world, in like the internet somewhere, and he can come back and help him out. He spent Tony Stark spent a good chunk of like the latter 2010s as like a spectral being, not actually being a human person. He's like an electronic consciousness, and so that could very well happen. So
Okay, no, I'll give you that. Maybe not Tony in the flesh, but we could still have Tony without having
yes,
Tony. Okay,
and I think that would be great if you could have Robert Downey Jr. again, a little kiss. I don't know though. I think the death of Iron Man at the end of Endgame, that was the perfect way to go. I think bringing him back would kind of diminish the sacrifice he made in Endgame.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, you see, because they're saying that these events with Wanda are taking place between Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home. So, I mean, you could see how revered Iron Man Tony Stark was for saving the world. So, yeah, you wouldn't want to take that away from him.
Yeah, for sure. How's it going to end this season? What's going to happen?
Okay, so we briefly talked about the multiverse. I think that's going to be a big thing, and that got me down such a weird rabbit hole where I didn't even know in another multiverse there's like Captain America that Hydra has. Did you know about that?
Yeah,
like
I read it.
There's an alternate Captain America with Hydra, and I'm like, ooh, because Chris Evans has been in talks with Marvel again. So not to say that he's the big thing at the end, because that's not going to happen. that's just too good. But I definitely think it's gonna involve the multiverse again, because we know that's going to happen with Doctor Strange. We know that is already happening, I think, with her brother coming in from the X-Men movie as opposed to the most recent Avenger movies. And I think, based on what I read on the House of M and Disney's interpretation of it, that she is going to kind of figuratively flip the switch and just be like the dark evil. Like, this is going to push her over the edge. They're going to find a way to take down the bubble. They're going to take away this happy little world she's built for herself, and it's going to just be too much for her.
Yeah, I think my theory is, if it's following closely enough to House of M, where the big bad is basically the devil, a dude named Mephisto, and who uses Agnes as his his herald, basically. And you're going to find out that he is the one giving Wanda and amplifying Wanda's powers for her to do this. And like you said, as soon as this world is gone, she's going to lose her shit because she had everything, and then she's going to lose everything. And Mephisto is going to be in her ear like, yeah, it's time to go crazy, because that's what leads up to Doctor Strange. But implications for the rest of the MCU, I think this show will open up the multiverse, and that's where you're starting to get your Spider-Man 3, where it has Tobey Maguire, it has Andrew Garfield, Jamie Foxx as one of the bad guys, Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. We're bringing back Vulture, Michael Keaton's Vulture. I mean, we're setting up a whole nother series, a Sinister Six series. But the implications of Wanda opening up this multiverse is bringing in this whole other Spider-Man series that may or may not have anything to do with Wanda. And then mutants. What do you think?
Well, and I also think it's definitely going to bring a darker side to Marvel. Marvel's been pretty tame so far. And I know some people are saying like the new Doctor Strange movie is supposed to be like a lot darker than the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already seen that a little bit when we see, how was it, episode 3 or 4 with the blip where we see the people coming back.
Yeah.
And, in Endgame, when everybody comes back, it's exciting. Your heroes are back. There's Spider-Man flying through the air. And you don't think about how dark it would be for people suddenly coming back. Like, what's her bucket? Geraldine? When she comes back, she finds out her mom died 3 years ago, and people are popping up in different houses and everything has changed. And I never thought about that darker side of it until WandaVision was like, oh, hey, by the way, this really dark, sad stuff happened too. It wasn't all just good, high flying action fun. So I definitely think the implications for the rest of the Marvel movies is they're definitely going to introduce a slightly darker aspect that they haven't really gone into up to now.
Yeah, that's a good call for sure. Geraldine, also known as Monica Rambeau, she is a character called Photon, who is very similar to Captain Marvel. And in episode 6, they actually are laying the groundwork for her becoming Photon because she's gone back and forth through Wanda's field so much that it's changing the cell structure of her cells, and so or the DNA within her cells. So she's in the process of becoming Photon. So
see, I think it happened when Wanda kicked her out and hit her with a big blast of Scarlet Witch power. I think that's what kicked her mutant powers, not the field.
Yeah. Well, that's what they said in the episode. They said that because she's going back and through, the radiation's changing it.
Well, they don't.
We'll see. Yeah.
I mean, Darcy's smart, but she doesn't know what's going on.
Darcy's great. I love Kat Dennings. She's such a fun actress. She's in this movie with Michael Cera called Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Yes,
If you saw that one. That's a great movie. That's such a great movie. So if you haven't seen that, on our WandaVision episode, go watch Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. Kat Dennings and Michael Cera. It's great.
No, Kat Dennings is great.
I think it's setting up mutants. I think it's laying the groundwork for mutants. Photon, I believe, is considered a mutant. She's getting changed. They have Miss Marvel coming up. She is technically a mutant. I mean, like, you're setting up these characters that are in the greater storyline mutants. And so, and when you bring in mutants, man, you have X-Men, and I am so excited. I love the X-Men. I cannot wait to see the MCU's take on X-Men.
Oh yeah, no, that'll be perfection. But I'm like, I liked the X-Men movies. I didn't watch like the last couple prequels, postquels, different timeline.
Yeah, but they're not good. That's the problem, man. When Fox had the X-Men, they didn't do a very good job. I hated Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, except for in Logan. Logan was an unbelievable movie, but that's the best X-Men movie is that one.
We'll never agree on this because I hated Logan and I thought Hugh Jackman was a great Wolverine. So
no, he was terrible. He had zero of Wolverine's characteristics. I'm a huge Wolverine fan. I love Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman had none of the characteristics that made Wolverine cool. He had none of them. Yeah. No. But Tom Hardy as Wolverine would be amazing.
Ooh.
Yeah, there you go. See what I'm saying?
I'd get down with that. I could, yeah. Yes. But I will say that's probably one of the good things about not having been a comic book nerd, no offense, is that I got to go into those movies just watching the movies. And so Wolverine is Hugh Jackman. And I thought he was great. I thought those movies did pretty good. I mean, comparing them now to the Marvel movies, it's sad, and I can't wait to see them redone. But no, I mean, I like the original ones, but no, I'm very excited. But this is where it started getting really, really hard for me to follow what's going on, because there are so many different, with the different multiverses and the different timelines and there's too much. I can't keep track of it at this point. When you start talking mutants, like, okay, I know the X-Men, and that's where I've got nothing else. I don't know any of their stories.
Yeah, we're starting to get into territory that I'm not familiar with. Like, I've never opened up an Eternals book ever. I have never opened up a Guardians of the Galaxy book ever, but they're very enjoyable. They have Eternals is going to be a different one. That's going to be weird because they're gods. They're literally gods. And so I have no idea what they're going to do to affect the Marvel universe, but they're throwing a lot of money and a lot of famous people behind it. Like Angelina Jolie, I think she's directing it. And she's going to be Kumail Nanjiani. He's great.
He buffed up for that role too.
Yeah, he got ripped. Side tangent again. If you have not seen The Big Sick with Kumail Nanjiani, it's great. And I'm saying his name. It's Nanjiani. But The Big Sick is a great movie. It's a great movie. So when we're starting to get into the Big Sick territory, then it's pretty much time for us to wrap up here. So any last thoughts on WandaVision?
I have a couple more fun things from WandaVision.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so there was one TikToker that had an interesting theory, and then when you had me research the House of M, I realized like this is a little far fetched. But he was actually thinking like there's evil Wanda and good Wanda, and you can see the difference in like her accent because when she was outside the bubble, suddenly she had her accent again. When she's inside the bubble, she doesn't have an accent other than like a straight American accent. Her clothes were back to Scarlet Witch when she was outside the bubble. Her clothes inside it are being controlled by somebody else. And then all those weird inconsistencies, like Wanda's definitely starting to lose it. She's losing grip on reality. You start seeing, like, did you notice the movie theater titles when
Yeah,
it was
The Incredibles and I couldn't remember
The Parent Trap?
Oh, Parent Trap. Okay.
But The Parent Trap was I assume they're talking about the remake in the 90s, and then The Incredibles was 2004, and the episode's supposed to be set in the 90s. So those little inconsistencies definitely mean she's definitely losing it. But again, once I researched the House of M, I realized kind of how weak that theory is. But it was still interesting to see the difference of Wanda outside the bubble and Wanda inside the bubble.
Yeah. I adhere to the theory that this is all stuff that she grew up watching when she was in Sokovia. And so, all she knows is to have like, she wants to talk like a Valley Girl from 90210 and don't have that accent. I thought it was really funny in episode 6 where she was talking to Pietro and she's like, "Where's your accent?" And he's like, "Where's your accent?" So I thought it was pretty funny.
And then like I loved in episode 6 how they wore their comic book accurate
Yes,
costumes.
that was great.
That was fun to see. And then somebody made a really cool theory about the different commercials that have been playing through the different episodes, how they actually correlate in a timeline with Wanda's life. And I didn't have time to go into that more, but that was an interesting one. So I'm going to follow up on that for next time.
That's a good theory. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, we could probably keep going on with different theories and stuff, but I think we've pretty much hit the nail on the head. What do you think?
I think we did a great breakdown and definitely talked about the 2 or 3 biggest things that people are waiting to happen.
One thing I noticed. Okay, I have to bring this back. So, I have not seen this anywhere else in any chat room or any podcast, any YouTube video I watched. But if you notice Monica Rambeau's shirt in the last couple weeks, it's a blue shirt with the gray sleeves, and she has a sword logo. But she's literally wearing the Fantastic Four's outfit, except for there's a sword logo instead of the Four logo, and nobody. I have not seen that anywhere else. I'm like, that is literally the Fantastic Four's outfit, and she's wearing it. So I definitely think that she's helped setting up the Fantastic Four, which leads into that. So that's my last impression. That's the last bit of information I have.
Well, wait, no, if you're going to do that, I wanted to do one.
Okay, go ahead. See, it's so much fun. There's all sorts of shit out there.
No, this is really stupid. It was just because the episode 5 was set in the 80s and they had their little 80s opening montage. And clearly some of that was taken from Full House opening, which Elizabeth Olsen is obviously the younger sister of Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, who were on Full House. So I thought that was a cute little nod to the Olsen. And I haven't seen that anywhere on TikTok. That's an original idea.
That was good, yeah. And Family Ties. They went into such detail that they recreated like the Family Ties couch with like the off-color pillows and shit. I mean, the people who pay a lot of attention to this stuff, they did a really good job. So
the music in the beginning, the Malcolm in the Middle beginning for episode 6, the music, like the words literally describe like what's happening, that people have no control over what's happening, and it's chaos. Blah, blah,
I have
blah.
to go back and watch it.
I know.
Nice. All right. So that's our WandaVision episode. We have a bunch of stuff for you guys to check out here on Chucky Pacific. What to look forward to on Mahai Podcast. We have Chef David Bondarchuk coming back next week, who's a friend of our family, like Christy and I follow him. He's a good friend of our family. So we love having Chef David on our show. We are talking all about LGBTQ representation in pop culture and how that's changed over the years. And I brought David on because he is part of that community. So, watch out for David Bondarchuk coming in. Like I said, in a couple weeks, I think in March, we have Amanda Chip coming on. We're talking about the favorite concerts that we've went to. Amanda goes to a lot of concerts, and so she's going to have a lot of stories. So we're excited for that. We had Christy and I are doing a bunch of quick hits episodes. I'm also doing a couple with Christy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You said I was like co-host now.
You are like 3 out of 5 of the quick hits are co-hosting, but I have a couple other ones that I'm doing. We have the Santori project. They're kicking off right now. They're Mary Beth and Santori are in Las Vegas. Who knows? They might be coming back as the Santoris. We don't know. It's a mystery in Vegas, but be sure to follow Santori Project because they're putting out a lot of videos. James is putting together the first couple episodes of the season. And then the summer, the whole Truckee Pacific crew is going to fly up to Oregon. We're going to stop by Bend, Oregon and go to the last Blockbuster. And then we're going to drive down to Yellowstone. I'm going to show Santori some like the Yellowstone Park. He's never been there. Mary Beth has never been there. I get to show him where the signs of the volcano was and just take in Yellowstone, and then we'll end up back here in Denver. So watch out for that. Christy, don't you have a show coming up?
Yes, we do. Next Thursday at 7. Contrary to popular belief, Bobby actually put me in control for once, and so I think we're gonna have some really fun book debates. And I know that sounds nerdy, but we have some pretty strong opinions about some pretty popular books, so it should be interesting.
Right on. Well, I'm excited for it. I'm always up for book debates. What kind of books do you guys talk about?
Everything. Like, have you ever read Wuthering Heights? We find that's a pretty polarizing book.
This is a good book for a book club.
Oh, yeah.
Book debates. Caldera's great. I agree, Christy. End the conversation.
All right. That's not very polarizing. Everybody loves it.
All right. Anything else you want to plug? Any mom stuff, work stuff, anything up in Grand County? She lives up in Granby, Colorado, which is like one of the most beautiful places on earth. So much so that I redubbed it as Mountain View. Winter Park in Granby and Fraser, I put them all together and I made Mountain View for Race to Space. So she lives up in there. It's a beautiful country. What do you got going on up there? Anything fun?
We do some cool shit. I'm on a PTO and we just did our second annual ski-a-thon. That's just one of the cool things that our kids get to do versus some of these city kids. The kids in their gym classes, they learn Nordic skiing, and then we have a big they say, I'm gonna ski 10 laps on the little Nordic track that some of our volunteers make in the park next to the school, and the kids get to go ski 2 or 3 times a week in class. They're so excited. Cameron loved it. He nailed it this year. He got 10 laps. We've already raised almost $5,000 for
nice
the school. Job. That's going to go towards teacher appreciation, which we're already planning because you got to look ahead for that stuff. But I mean, it's pretty exciting what our kids get to do up there. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, good. Quick plugs. Just go to Amazon.com, look up Caldera, David Hawk, as you can see down here. David Hawk, right there. David Hawk.
There you
go. Find me on Amazon. You can go to BarnesandNoble.com if you want the ebook for your Nook. I'm very excited about this book. So that's my plug. Like I said earlier, we want your comments, we want your criticisms. If you hate the show, you can always send your refund requests and go to the Mile High Podcast, POTCAST @gmail.com. Like and subscribe, do all that stuff that all the kids say on the YouTube videos, the like and subscribe, hit that bell. I don't know if there's going to be a bell when I put it together because I haven't found the bell icon, but you know what to do. When I don't need to tell you guys what to do. You guys are young and smart. But ultimately, Christy and I are here, and James and I have created Truckee Pacific for the sole purpose of not ever wanting to work ever again. We want to make money talking about WandaVision and talking about volcanoes and going on trips to the last Blockbuster and stuff. But the only way that we can make that possible is if you guys pay us enough money so we can quit our jobs. So go to Venmo, and we are at Truckee Pacific 303. and that is at Truckee Pacific 303. Give us $1, give us a couple $100. Let's say hi to our main sponsors, Paul and Betsy Hawkins, and our sponsors, Christy and Mike Potter. Christy literally just bribed me to be on the show.
Your Aunt Bonnie.
And come on, I was gonna say Aunt Bonnie. I had to give her. Yeah. Wow, you hurt my heart just now. And I want to give a shout out to. I want to give a huge shout out to my Aunt Bonnie. But as you see, it's my family that is donating to at Venmo. I'm running out of family that's going to start throwing money in my way. Okay. So I want other people to throw money my way. So go to Venmo at Truckee Pacific 303 and make your money my money. And that's pretty much all I have. Any last words of wisdoms, Christy Potter?
I just, I still want that sweet merch. So we got to get some of that money in there. I need like a Truckee Pacific.
We're designing the shirts right now.
I want a trucker hat.
Well, we're getting shirts first.
No.
We got to get the shirts first for all of our, this is stuff we're going to talk about. That has nothing to do with the show. But we have our shirts in the process of being designed, and they will be out soon. So look forward to that. But thank you guys so much for staying and watching with us and going with us on this crazy ride of lots of tangents and shit. Definitely recommend Mank. Definitely recommend Nick and Nora's Infinite playlist. But if you haven't gone and watched WandaVision, feel free to use my password, Mom and Dad. You can watch my Disney. I don't give a shit. Love you guys. Thank you so much. And as Mike Santori says, be good to each other. So thank you very much and have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Truckee Pacific production. For sponsorship inquiries and comments, go to the Mile High Podcast at gmail.com.